Hello and welcome everyone, getting to another video. And today's video, it's going to be about the best teams for Master League. I know that last season I did not make a single video about the top teams in the Master League. That's because I feel like every time I post a Master League video, it doesn't get that many views. I feel like my viewers in general do not care about that. But that doesn't mean we're not gonna make it, okay? Because this season I am going to play Master League as much as I can. I know not everyone like it because it's a very, not everyone can do it because it's very limited to legendaries that are hundos and level 50. Not everyone can do that, but I feel like I've played the game for like at least 5 feeds on hardcore grinding, and I should have most of this stuff. I'm still tilted that I couldn't get the #1 Pokemon, as you guys can see on top of me, Poké Origin. I couldn't get a hundo. I've done like 120 rates or something during the global event. But that doesn't mean we can't play it, okay? That doesn't mean we can't have fun. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the Master League meta and some nice and great teams that I'm going to be using, you could also be using, and hopefully these teams will give you a good idea, like a comprehensive idea on what you should expect when you are queuing into the Master League. So let's start by going into the main Pokemons. The main Pokemon is basically what I talk about the main Pokemons in the cup, as like I divide them into leads, safe swaps, generals. The problem about that is that Master League is no longer as one-dimensional as it used to be, because in the past it used to be whoever has the Hundo Best Buddy Dialga, then it developed into whoever has Zacian, then it developed into whoever has Xerneas. But now there is like a wide variety of good Pokemons because Niantic the past couple months has been giving us lots of Pokemons with their legacy move. They started by giving the Rayquaza Breaking Swipe and Dragon Ascent, and then they gave Heatran a legacy move, Magma Storm, and then they gave Ho-Oh got the Sacred Fire way before. Then they gave Sandstorm to Landorus, which made Landorus slightly better whenever it comes to maintaining swap in the neutral matchups, but that doesn't necessarily mean it helped the Lando a lot in some specific matchups, such as the Giratina Origin is still a bad matchup. But now you technically have to adjust your playstyle whenever you use Lando, such as in the past, whenever you see a Dialga, you instantly go to Landorus because Superpower does one-shot with the mud-shot damage. Now it doesn't. Now you don't run Superpower anymore, so you kind of need to chip the Dialga slightly. So whenever they swap in Dialga, even if you have a Lando in the back, you don't insta-swap. You just wait, put them in Sandstorm range of damage. You know, like Sandstorm does like 60%, so you have to do like that 40% health first, then go to your own Lando. Ho-Oh isn't as good as it used to, but I featured some Master League battles last season where like Ho-Oh was actually melting down Pokemons, and I will be talking about that. So leads are generally Pokemons that do have fast move pressure and charge move pressure, and they do have a cheap move, and a great example about that is Rayquaza. It has Dragon Claw. It has Breaking Swipe. There are 35 energy moves, which helps the lead Pokemon to get a shield from opponent early in the game, which helps your closer, which are usually like Pokemons that nukes pretty hard. And nukers technically need the opponent to not have shields or let the nuke go. And the higher, the highest chance of them not shielding is them not having shields. So that's why you need the Pokemon that can do pressure the shields. And that's where like a Pokemon like Rayquaza used to shine before the nerf to the before the nerf to Breaking Swipe, because Niantic made a dumb decision. They gave Breaking Swipe to Steelix, and they made Steelix the most broken Pokemon in the history of PvP, in the Great League and in the Ultra League. Another example about that, Dragonite. It's basically a poor man's Rayquaza with one difference, that a Dragonite doesn't mind playing into Steel because you have Superpower, where the Rayquaza technically gets walled by Steel Pokemons. Landorus has Mudshot Sandsear Storm, which is an Icy Wind clone, a move that debuffs the opponent's attack, where basically if you land the Sandstorm, you shield, and then you're supposed to maintain alignment if you fight for alignment. I myself don't like fighting for alignment in Master League. And Solgaleo is basically usually a Pokemon that people are using whenever they are using double fire. I mean, Solgaleo is not a fire Pokemon, but it has a fire fast move, so count as a fire Pokemon, because people usually use Solgaleo to bait out the Landorus or the Kyogre, and it's good at baiting out both and leaving them at very low health. Groudon was extremely OP when they first released the Pacify's Blade last Go Fest, I think, or whatever was the event. Now it's no longer as popular because there are so many flyers in the game that just completely wall Groudon, because Groudon gets shut down by flyers. Now moving into the safe swap. Safe swaps are Pokemon that are generally spammy and also spam charge moves, and they have decent bulk. The best safe swap has been in the history of the game is Giratina. Then Zacian took that spot because whatever they swap in, they will take super effective from one of the Zacian's charge move. The only Pokemon that doesn't do that is Metagross or Solgaleo. Everything else will take super effective from one of the Zacian's fast move. Wild Charge if you are a flyer, Close Combat if you are a Steel or Ice, Play Rough if you are a Dragon. Another example about that is actually Landorus. This Landorus used to be one of the best safe swaps in the game, but then like the problem with it is that just get completely destroyed by a Kyogre. So if they have a Kyogre, usually you just lose. So that's why you need a Pokemon like Solgaleo to bait out the water. Kyurem, the problem with Kyurem is that it's not good enough to it's almost there to be meta, but it's not there. Like, you know, how am I supposed to say that? It's supposed to be meta, but it's not quite there. The only one who was able to make this Pokemon like usable is actually Home Slice Henry. He made lots of content about Kyurem. And the thing about Kyurem is that you can win the 2 shields against most of the stuff. But the problem with it is that usually whenever you give up shields early in Master League, you end up losing the game. And that's where like Henry was able to actually clutch using Kyurem in the Master League. I think he made like a bunch of videos. At least you should be watching one of them, where he featured why you should be using this in the safe swap, and where he basically used it to bait out the Zacian and then win the 2, just straight Glaciate or something, the move, like the ice move that debuffs the Zacian. Zarude. Myself don't have a good Zarude, and I am going to purchase the ticket. I know I usually don't talk about spending in the game, but I am going to spend and buy the ticket for the Zarude because I have a chance to get a better one. I know it's kind of a copium chance, but it's a chance. Reshiram is probably the most underrated Pokemon in the Master League meta. It's probably one of the best safe swaps. I've said this a million times. Reshiram is actually the most underrated safe swap. It could be probably the best safe swap as well. It's a dragon that does not take super effective from Fairy or whatever move the Fairy has. Like as an example, the Alga takes super effective from Close Combat. But Reshiram takes a neutral, at least, from all of Zacian's charge moves. And it has Dragon Breath, so technically you have a decent play against all of the dragons. You beat the Alga in the 0, by the way, because you get to what was the Reshiram's signature move? Yeah, a Fusion Flare, because you get the Fusion Flare before they get to the Iron Head, which almost with the Dragon Breath will KO the Alga, which makes you win the 0. And now the Generalists are the Pokemons that are just good everywhere. You can lead them, you can safe swap them, you can keep them in the back. They are good with shields. Without shield, it doesn't matter. I'm going to remove a Mewtwo from here because technically he is a Generalist, but he doesn't have the spec where because the Mewtwo needs shields. Those Pokemons do not care about the shields as much. And give the Alga Solgaleo. I want to say Zygarde. Zygarde is like the bulkiest Pokemon in the entire game. I call him Optimus Prime because he's literally like the strongest Pokemon in PvP. Because if Lugia was for like long time the bulkiest Pokemon, and then Zygarde came in and made Lugia looks like a joke when it comes to bulk. It's a dragon that takes super effective from the Alga, does neutral damage back, and still capable of beating the Alga. It's the only dragon that's known of clapping the Zacian, because you live 2 play roughs somehow 2 play roughs, while they don't live 2 EQs, so that's why you end up winning this game. A couple weeks ago we get access to the Alga Origin and Palkia Origin, and I said this the best, that Palkia is just a trash and the Alga is OP. But now we have 2 new version of each. So Palkia Origin is bad. why it doesn't have enough bulk, period. While Palkia Origin is OP because it has 10 more attack and like 10 more defense. So the things that Palkia used to struggle against no longer a threat for the Palkia. Plus, they gave Palkia the move Special Rend, where it's the only 50 energy charge move, or the only 50 energy charge move type dragon. It's the only one that has it, which helped Palkia a lot into make it to be able to beat a Pokemon like Zygarde, where like if you win the one by baiting, you need to bait correctly, where like you have to throw an Aqua Tail, which gets buffed as well. So there's like many reasons why it's OP. It has way better stats than the Palkia. They buffed Aqua Tail, they gave it Special Rend, which is a decent dragon charge move. So Special Rend, like, it's not an OP move, but on Palkia, it's actually an OP move because it does 5 less damage than Meteor Mash from Metagross. But the thing is, Palkia has way more attack than Metagross, so you could say that it's like almost does the same amount as damage as Meteor Mash for a 50 energy charge move. Let me check the... Okay, the music isn't in the background. So yes, now we talked about the Pokemons. Let's talk about some anti-meta Pokemons, and the only one that's worth mentioning here the most, okay, this one is no longer anti-meta, is actually Mamoswine. Why Mamoswine? Because they gave it high horsepower, so now if you land the high horsepower, you can farm down the Dialga. Ursaluna, they still need to give it Shadow Claw to be meta. Otherwise, it's no longer as good. Metagross has a decent play into a meta that's full of dragons. The problem now is that it is Palkia, which completely shut down this. Meloetta is probably the second best here after Mamoswine. You could say Meloetta is the best, Mamoswine is the second best. Everything else is just good situationally. Now, we talked about the Pokemon, something, as I said, I will be doing, which is talking about the top performance. What are the top performance? Those are like the Pokemon that have technically a high win rate whenever people are using them. And the highest win rate Pokemon Master League, as expected, is Zygarde. Comes after it, right after it is Solgaleo. That's because Solgaleo is always part of ABB teams that you want to beat out the Kyogre. And then if you manage to bait out the Kyogre, then your Landorus or your Ho-Oh will be free in the back. So Solgaleo provide like a decent coverage into baiting out the Lando or the Kyogre. Reshiram, as I said, the best safe swap. Xerneas is one of the best safe swaps. Dragonite is a Rayquaza that can threaten the steals. Okay, Ho-Oh, if it's a Shadow, we'll be talking about that. So now if we look at the PvPoke ranking, you can see that Palkia Origin is number 1, Zygarde number 2, Landorus, the Therian one, number 3, Dragonite, Giratina, Palkia, Groudon, Solgaleo, Dragonite, Shadow. What is Dialga? Dialga is a spicy. Kyurem, I think Kyurem is there because it has some decent stat product. And now moving into the top teams, and the top team, as I think in this current Master League meta, it's literally Palkia Origin, and the best Pokemon that covers Palkia Origin is Xerneas, and the best third Pokemon that could cover those two is Landorus. The problem with Landorus is if they have a Kyogre in the back, you're gonna get swept. So that's why we have a different version of this team, and I call it the Pogo Fan, because Pogo Fan used it since day one whenever they released Palkia, and he used Palkia before, to be honest. And whenever they released Palkia, I talked to him, he said like it feels way better to have Palkia Origin over non-Palkia. So with this team, he runs Shadow Ho-Oh, and like I ran the non-Shadow Ho-Oh, and I was like talking about the struggles I have with the non-Shadow. He said if you have those problems, you should have a Shadow Ho-Oh, and Shadow Ho-Oh will cure your problems, because like the worst matchup for a Ho-Oh is literally Landorus, and Shadow Ho-Oh melts down the Landorus. If they go straight Stone Edge, they die with the third one. They don't get to a third one. And that's why you basically need the Shadow. And it's better against the Dialga, because you still live the Iron Head plus the Dragon Breath, where like they don't live your Incinerates plus your Charge move. I mean, technically the non-Shadow can do it, but with the Shadow, the Incinerate will do way more damage. And the main reason also, it's Shadow, it does 20% more damage, plus Incinerate got buffed last season, so now Incinerate does so much damage from Shadow Ho-Oh. If you're looking for a video featuring this team, there is a video in the channel. It's called From 2700 to Legend with Shadow Ho-Oh, and this is the thumbnail for the video. It's not a clickbait. It's literally From 2700 to Legend with this team, and it's a Pogo fan team. Now, if you watch this channel, you know how much we admire what we call top 3 PvPoke, and it's a team where like you run the number 1, number 2, and number 3 on PvPoke, and you call it a team. And the team now today is number 1 is Palkia, number 2 on PvPoke is Zygarde, number 3 on PvPoke is Landorus, the Therian form. It's actually a decent team, but the problem is that Zygarde is inaccessible. I'm going to get my Zygarde in 2 weeks, but I'm nowhere close to get my Palkia Origin. I've lucky traded so many, I've graded so many, and I feel like every time I make a video about Master League, it's just end up me crying why I don't have a Palkia Origin. Another version of this team, if you don't have a Zygarde, it's fine. You could do Palkia Double Fire, and the Double Fire here are Ho-Oh and Heatran. Why Heatran? Well, basically you use Heatran to beat out the Landorus. And technically, if people are running Landorus, you're better running Solgaleo over Heatran. If you have a Solgaleo, I recommend running it over a Heatran. You could run a Heatran as the second. I think this is what I would prefer, because technically, if they have a Kyogre, they can shut you down. But here with Solgaleo, you can just debuff them with Psychic Fangs. So you run either of those two, with those two in the lead and the swap. If you watch my Master League content, I used to run a team of Ho-Oh, Dialga, Groudon. Now, if I have the Palkia Origin, I would run Ho-Oh, Shadow, Dialga Origin, and Palkia Origin, honestly. Why? Because those two Pokemon are just extremely good, and this Pokemon covers them the best. Because you need the Ho-Oh to beat the Xerneas in case they do have one. And another team I ran multiple times, there is million videos on the channel about it, climbing to 3400 with this Open Master League. I actually hit 3400 with this team in the past. So Dialga either forms work with Lugia and the swap, and with the Mewtwo or a Kyogre, depending on what people are running in the meta. But if you look in Go Battle Log, it's a website that we always talk about in this channel, and I'm going to make a guide soon, probably within the next week. And the best team, the most used team, I think this is Matt Beer team. I will probably try to get a footage of him using it. Oh, this is not a Matt Beer team. I think Matt Beer was running Dialga Origin with a Mewtwo. Okay, whoever this team is, basically you run Palkia Origin, Mewtwo, and Landorus. This is technically one of the most frail teams in the Master League, so it's kind of risky to use this team because you need to manage your shields perfectly. So if you are someone who doesn't hit Legend every season, I don't recommend running this team. In fact, I do recommend this one over it, which contains of Dialga Origin, Ho-Oh, and Ho-Oh and Xerneas. Your safe swap here is Xerneas. This is the safe swap. So if you win the lead, just maintain the lead. If you lose the lead, go Xerneas and try to get a shield advantage. Whenever you have a shield advantage, the bird will carry you eventually. Now, if you guys know Nices, Diamond Nices is one of the Pogo streamers that streams once in every blue moon. We call him Santa, because every 2-3 months he does like 2 or 4 streams where he give away lots of stuff. So make sure to check his live stream. You might have a chance to win a headphone. I actually won this headphone and this mic and this gaming chair from his giveaways. The team he's running, is always a Mewtwo Double Dragon, and he always run Dialga with another dragon. Now we have a better, I wouldn't say a better, this is technically, Dialga Origin is a side upgrade, Palkia Origin is a huge upgrade. I made a video about where I talked about which one, the differences between the Origin and the non-Origin form for each of those. I think it's called, it's basically when I spent 30,000 coins raiding. So you can check that video and you will see like me going through a deep dive onto this and why this team, why those two are kind of the new meta. Basically, the Dialga Origin is so good. I mean, the Dialga has better stats, does slightly more damage against the dragons, but this Dialga is better in one situation, which is against the Steel, where like this Pokemon has Roar of Time. A Roar of Time is basically a Draco Meteor clone that doesn't debuff Dialga. So when if you play Master League, you know, like whenever the Alga is switch locked against the Melmetal, against the Heatran, against Solgaleo, you need to Draco them to do damage. And if you Draco them, your fast move will no longer do damage. But with the Origin, you could just spam a lot of time because it no longer debuffs you. And that's pretty much it for today. So apologize for making it too long, but I feel like I have so much passion about Master League and I want to talk about this league as much as I can, because I didn't make a single top teams video for the Master League the past season, and I get like a couple of requests to do a video. So hopefully we did our best this time, and I will try my best into getting some footages about Master League, and tomorrow Friday I will go live and test out some Master League teams. This is the end of the video. Thank you so much everyone for watching, and if you like the video, make sure to leave a like to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and see you in the next one. Peace.